right, it's Folio Games here with
Dave from GrimPath.
GrimPath Dave. And what are we here to talk about today, Dave?
We're going to be talking about GrimPath and how we met at Gen Con. We got to play GrimPath together. I came out there. This is, I think, my third year at Gen Con. This is our second Warlords tournament. I think you got that picture up right there.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah, every year we've been going. I debuted GrimPath at Gen Con basically for the first time to the public a couple, 3 years ago. And I've been going ever since and hosting these warlord tournaments. They're a lot of fun. And yeah, there's the award. I really like making like a nice plaque for the winner to win the tournament. That's the tournament champ. In fact, I think he hung it on the wall so that he could actually tap it because I just wrote that joke text. Exhaust tournament champ to defeat any target opponent. So
Nice.
anytime you walk into his room, he could tilt the painting on his wall to defeat a tournament. But yeah, the little just references to 2025, Gen Con 2025. But
Fun stuff,
yeah, this
fun stuff.
tournament last year we did a tournament where it was we let people construct their own decks. Like I gave them a bunch of cards and they got to construct their own decks. And then this year we brought the pre-constructed decks, and so everybody got to pick one of the five pre-constructed decks that we got to face off in the tournament. Um, because yeah, we were
Nice.
talking, you and I were talking a little bit at the convention about the squad decks and the theming and how that all works together. Paladins versus wood elves versus dwarves versus zombies versus goblins. We wanted to bring a nice little theme.
Oh,
That
yeah.
right there is what those are our squad boxes. So if you were to pick up a squad box like that, what you're gonna get is you're gonna get a pre-constructed deck. You're gonna get standees for all the creatures. We call them minions. So all of your minions, you'll have standees for those. Some like tokens for like blood and stuff like that when you get hit. Dice and your half of the battlefield. So everything you need to play will be in these little VHS sized boxes, and you can sort of crack one of those open and be like, all right, I want to bust out the paladins, fight off against the wood elves because my friend has wood elves.
Cool, cool.
And then if you want to start, GrimPath is like Magic the Gathering where you can mix all of those together. So you buy a couple pre-con decks, you can mix them together to make a paladin wood elf deck or a dwarf paladin deck. And
Okay,
then
didn't
as
e-
we get more legions,
okay,
go
didn't
big.
even know that was a thing. Okay,
Yeah.
so I played at Gen Con. The game was great. It takes the familiar dueling card game mechanics, and then it adds an interesting wrinkle with the miniature gameplay. And you got the terrain, you got the elevation. Makes a real satisfying end product.
Thank
Really
you.
look
Thank you.
forward to the game. Really doing well and everything once it really gets out there. But
Thank you.
yeah, so we'll be talking about the ins and outs and when we can expect to have it available to us and how's it played and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess first we'll get into um, first I'm thinking like what were some of the games that you liked coming up and what might have
Yeah.
influenced you and everything.
Well, obviously, like this game came from my first time I played Magic the Gathering when I was a kid. I was like, this is awesome. Uh, it's like playing D&D, but I don't have to do all the like building. It's like more emergent D&D. Just sit down and play D&D. It'd be really cool if there was miniatures in this. And so I waited years and years and years and years for someone to make that game. No one did. And so I finally was like, all right, I want to make a game that's like, very inspired by like traditional trading card games, 90s trading card games. Um, it's easy to play, really expansive, lets me customize my deck and build any type of warband that I want, so that I can make and collect miniatures that match all that stuff and come to life. And so that my first inspiration is like Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, kind of sandwiching those two together. I play One of my favorite TCGs was the World of Warcraft TCG that came out in the late '90s. That one I felt had more like D&D sort of feel to it, so that was a little bit of my inspiration into this. And then another thing, I'm a video game, like originally, traditionally, I'm a video game designer, and so I really like games that are super easy and super fun to play, but you could be really competitive about if you want to be really competitive. And TCGs offer that, I think. Tactical wargaming offers that, and so I feel like I've pulled some of my favorite parts of games like Final Fantasy Tactics, Advance Wars, and then Magic the Gathering, and sort of combined those into this. fun to play, not long, no, like very easy to learn. I think you've learned the game. It takes like 10 minutes to really kind of understand how to play the game, and then the rest of
Oh
the
yeah.
rules are going to be on the cards.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and going back to that World of Warcraft TCG,
Yeah,
that was like my second TCG, and then
yeah,
I did notice that like one thing that you did, like it does remind me a lot of that World of Warcraft TCG. It's like you've got that back row and you use it like different, like like World of
hmm
Warcraft they do the like the traps kind of thing,
hmm
but
hmm
but but what you did is like you can cast. I'm not sure if it's like every unit or like every
yeah,
card, but it's like most cards can be cast to generate the mana. But then
yeah, as a
one
resource.
thing, yeah, but one thing that I like that you did is like you can take those cards that are resources and then you can actually tap themselves and then have them come out as a unit. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
so we have
really,
yeah, like you were saying, if you look at that image there, we've got two rows of cards basically on either side. In the front row, closest to the battlefield, that's your battlefield row, and then your back row is your barracks row. And so your barracks are where all your like resources and stuff go. Things that are in your barracks do not appear on the battlefield, but then when you pay the cost of cards, they appear in your battlefield area, and they'll accompany you with a mini. So you recruit minions onto your battlefield row, and they'll appear as minis, and you pay for those costs by putting influence cards, which are similar to land cards, which, like you were saying, any card can go back in that barracks area. You can rally a minion, we call it. That means that you put it in your influence area, and it basically acts as an influence card. And then, yeah, later you can pay those costs to recruit those minions from your barracks. And then we do a lot of fun stuff with that, like the deck that you're looking at right there. Those are our paladin soldiers. So they're like supposed to be an army theme. They're basically like marines. They're leathernecks. They're roughnecks. They basically like kill everybody and then they heal who's left over. That's kind of their montage. And because of that, we focus like each one of these decks in our game. We want to like teach people how to play different mechanics. So we focus a lot of the soldiers' effects on coming out of the barracks. When you recruit soldiers from the barracks, they get bonuses and they get haste and stuff like that. Whereas other cards don't focus so much on the barracks, but the barracks is our core resource system. I'm glad you appreciated that because we wanted to make balancing the amount of cards that you put in a deck in a game like this wasn't easy, and combining the resource, like if you're just strictly speaking Magic, like land cards, combining those with our minion cards and with the whole rally mechanic allows us to have like a really fluid layout of cards. We don't want tons of cards all over your table. There's a lot of effort that we put in to make it so that the play space is clear and clean, and recruiting and rallying minions and stuff is all part of our our bag of tricks that we do to help you have like a nice clean play experience.
oh yeah, there's a lot to appreciate. And speaking of which, how many cards is in a deck minimum?
In a deck, it's a 30 card deck.
30 card deck.
We're
Okay, yeah.
starting with 30 because that gives us like a really simple like breakdown if you're trying to make your own deck, or if you're customizing decks. That means what you're going to have is you're going to have 10 minions. You're going to have 10 influence cards, which is our sort of our land cards, and then you're going to have 10 utility cards. So 10 minions, 10 influence cards, 10 utility cards. Utilities are actions or relics, whatever you want. You could have more minions, you could have less minions. It's kind of up to you. Um, and that's part of that. Like if you were to split like a Magic deck in half, it's like 17 lands and 13 minions or something like that, creatures to get to a 40 card deck, and we didn't want to have that much of a spread. So that's part of you can rally minions. We don't have to have just lands. You can actually get your minions sort of in there.
Yeah, like, and it was very streamlined, and I didn't really notice that it was 30 cards, but I noticed that there was a lot of tense action going on, and of course I got the gameplay coming up this week, so check that out and
Yeah.
everything. Um, okay, so let me see what else. So what are
Yeah, I
the
like that you said. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say I like that you noticed that it was streamlined because I really wanted to shave off any of the rough corners. Gameplay is really important to me. like I was saying, video games. I love to just get in and have fun. So I try to shave off a lot of that streamline the core fun parts of the game. So I'm glad you noticed that. But
Definitely, definitely. Um, any kind of other gameplay mechanics that you wanna share with the folks right
yeah,
now?
I'd love to. Yeah. So we have 5 pre-con decks that are designed specifically to teach you how to play GrimPath. Those 5 decks also are themed. Like you're looking at one of them right there. That's the Paladins. You can see in the background of that picture, there's some Wood Elves. So we have Wood Elves, Dwarves, Goblins, Paladins, and Zombies as our like core starter decks, our core squad decks. And each one of those is going to have a different total gameplay feel. The Wood Elves are designed to be like Legolas, where you have your Warlord, who's like your main. It's kind of like your commander from like Magic the Gathering. That's going to be you on the battlefield. So you've got your Warlord who shoots her arrow a lot. All of the cards in her deck are designed around helping you make multiple shots, shoot people with the same character multiple times. Whereas like the Paladins right there, they're themed around recruiting soldiers into your barracks area, having a really strong barracks, and then recruiting soldiers from those barracks straight into play to just like deal epic paladin damage. Then we've got the dwarves who theme on long range artillery that they can't really see anything, but if you accompany that with their troops, moving troops onto the enemy territory, you get bonuses by shooting long range artillery. So each deck is both designed to give you like a fun theme to play with, but also like to teach you gameplay hooks so that you're like, oh, I can make a knight and this deck has only equipment in it and all the equipment just makes that one knight really strong. Versus somebody else could be like, oh, I'm gonna make like a spider deck with like tons of spiders and there's gonna be spiders everywhere, so I'm gonna have lots of minions in my deck. We want to give people the ability to both like be able to design whatever they want, but also be able to control the like gameplay the way that they want to play it.
Okay, so we'll go into the setup of the game.
Mm-hmm.
As we can see, we've got these blocks on the field. How
Mm-hmm.
do you set up a game?
So we're looking at right there. This is going to be our tournament mode. So our tournament mode is a blank battlefield, 10 by 10. You draw 30 card decks, 7 card hands, and then at the start of the match you do initiative. And after you do initiative, players will put up to 10 pieces of terrain on their side of the battlefield. You get to place it all over wherever you want to place it, and then the match begins. You place your warlords, and then the match begins. So you can have up to 10 of those on your battlefield. And we also will have other pieces like we have, you can see this is coming in our starter set. We're doing cardboard terrain. So like this is a tree, and this tree is 3 units high. So if you put this down on the battlefield, this one tree, this would count as 3 of your 10. So there's larger pieces of terrain that you can get along with the little squares like that, those sort of squares. But those are like basic terrains that you can use to sort of set up any sort of situation. And yeah, like you notice, it's all about height. From height, you can shoot basically farther. You can be harder to shoot. You can get cards that have bonuses, like if you're on high ground, which is we call terrain. That's a status effect that you have while you're on terrain. If you have high ground, you can get bonuses to your attacks. So some players may engineer their decks to be very terrain centric, whereas other players may be like, I don't care about terrain. I just want to run around and shoot people.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a lot.
in this game, I guess I'm really telling you, like this game is giving you hero clicks, it's giving you hero escape, it's giving you sorcery contested realm, it's giving you a lot of things in a streamlined, quick to play TCG kind of deal. So this is something that's
Yeah,
kind
thank you.
of, I mean, this is a really great package right here. So
Thank
I
you. Thank you. Yeah,
really look forward to
yeah,
it coming out and everything.
I love that. Yeah, it's all about streamline. I love getting immersed in things and like really like this is a little world that I'm in that I'm playing in, but I hate when I get stuck on rules. So I want things to just be. I want it to make sense. I want it to be easy to play really smoothly, and for you to just be like, this is so
Yeah.
much fun. Like I'm not banging my head against anything here. I'm just having fun.
Oh yeah.
And
Quick to
so
learn rules. Great stuff. Oh yeah.
I love
It,
it when I'm telling people how to play and they're like, all right, I get it. Shut up, let me play.
that's it.
I'm like,
That's
all right,
it.
good. Let's go, let's go.
And then I love how like I guess like you set up the game and you've got and then to be clear too, like everything's gonna start with these standees. So like everything's gonna be kind of like simple. But if you want to back the Kickstarter and everything and get the miniatures, you can sure do that. But it's gonna be starting simple with the standees. Easy to pack up, easy to go, easy to move around. And then so like you're gonna have all of your standees just off to the side ready to cast. And then when you play the influence cards, then these are going to be the guys that you can eventually cast. Then they'll come up out of the barracks. Then they'll go on to the battlefield. And then that's when you put the standee onto the field, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
so
much.
that's pretty much how they go. So that's a like a real cool kind of novel flow that we're familiar with, but a little different though. So
Thank you, thank you. Yeah,
okay,
yeah. We're when you do the Kickstarter campaign, there's going to be add-ons where you can get terrain packs. We're definitely going to be adding terrain. We're going to have the warlords in miniature form on the Kickstarter campaign that you'll be able to get as add-ons. Um, but the majority of the minions and stuff like that, we're going to do with standees for the first edition. And if we, for some reason, we get struck by lightning and we're like just cruising through stretch goals, and they're like, oh my god, what's happening? We have stretch goals that will be like, and now the standees can be up. You can get the full miniature set instead of the standees one. And we'll
oh
also
yeah,
sell the standees because some people love the standees. So
okay,
yeah, we have. We're planning for what happens if, but the goal is to start with this is how we can start. That's where the
okay.
standees come from.
All right. I guess some more product details. Tell them about those play mats and everything.
Yeah, those are something I really like the way that those worked out because I wanted something that again, this is a war game for players that also play TCGs. It's a little bit different, so I wanted to reduce the amount of barriers of entry. So the distance between two players in this game is exactly the same as the distance as two Magic the Gathering mats side by side. Only I have it here split into three, where you have the battlefield in the center, and then you've got your little barracks area on the backside. So you could, if you're like, I don't want to play with, I have my own barracks strip that I use, and we have some logic in our templates where there's like rocks that connect and stuff like that. And in the final, when our Kickstarter campaign ones that'll be final, they'll match up. So it's like you may have a snow battlefield and I may have a desert playmat, but the rocks will sync up and it'll become snowy. Because it's little things like that that I think help get you immersed into the game. It's
All
fun for
kind of
me.
different. Okay, so like there's
Yeah,
all kind of different terrain. So like somebody might bring like say ice blocks versus regular blocks maybe, or
yeah, yeah, exactly.
all kind of design space, all kind of possibilities. So
Yeah, get those. If you want to have that, like, I made orc death knights, and somebody else is like, well, I made ice death knights. Let's see how our ice, and I have ice spells in my deck that are fun to play with and push my sort of narrative along with me. And look, if you go down that road where you start going, well, I want to start painting miniatures. Let's give it a go. You're like, look, I painted this like ice death knight. Like, he matches, he's my ice death knight.
oh yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Okay, so what about the? Let's talk about the release that you got planned and everything.
Yeah. So right now, we just like this September we launched our Patreon. It's sort of a soft launch. We're just doing small numbers right now to see how that flow goes, and that's going to be in our Patreon is essentially our beta. And in our beta, we're going to be sending cards to every single person that's backing the Patreon. By doing that, you're going to be helping us pay for art, finish some manufacturing specs, while you see us posting content for you. Like we're posting lore stuff. We posted like a video, an audio file of narratives that we're working on with some sound effects. We're going to keep posting stuff like that. And then every month you get a couple cards, like I was saying, in the mail. And so as we progress through our beta Patreon, that's going to sort of define what the beta set is. And if you are finding out about this game just before the Kickstarter campaign and you're going back through old videos and you're seeing this video and you're like, what? I missed the Patreon? That sucks. You will be able to get all the cards that we send to Patreon backers as an add-on on the Kickstarter campaign. So we want to make sure that people that are just finding out are able to get into the ground floor of GrimPath, so to speak. But if you do help us with our Patreon now, you will not only be getting those cards at a little bit cheaper of a price, but also you're helping us bring this to life. Bring this thing home because it's a lot of work and there's a lot of artists and they got a lot of mouths, a lot of artist mouths to feed. So yeah, the Patreon's all about helping us finish up the art that we haven't finished yet.
Okay. So
And then, oh, sorry, our Kickstarter campaign will follow.
exactly. Okay. So we got the Patreon going now till definitely
Spring 2026.
spring 2026 when we're rolling out the Kickstarter. So
Yeah, well, I'm sure that we'll be announcing the Kickstarter date like before, before the new year. I'm sure that we're gonna start rally crying for that, but we're just digging through some of the Patreon process right now, and we'll be announcing the date for the Kickstarter campaign. Like I was saying, at some point in the winter, we'll start collecting, followers there. But the goal for the launch of that Kickstarter campaign will be spring 2026.
good stuff. Good stuff. All right. And so pretty much the product rollout right now is gonna be five, five pre-constructed decks right now, right?
Yeah, we have these 5 decks. That's part of like our what we've developed right now. Those are our core squad decks. They are the starter decks that teach you how to play the game. Um, they're all themed around like paladins, wood elves, dwarves, like I was saying, goblins. Then we're gonna have some additional pre-con decks that are in the Kickstarter campaign that we haven't really announced those yet, but those are gonna be like you'll have some like spirit, nature. Those some combo decks like green, white, red, black. There's gonna be some mixes. Like there's gonna be some goblins that mix in with some of the dwarves. There's gonna be some. It's all part of our narrative for the first edition.
Nice.
Each one of those decks is like themed around a character and an event that happens in our story, and so that'll be the full set. Will be somewhere around 150 unique cards in the first edition, and those will make up a total of like 7 or 8 pre-con decks, whatever we officially land on, and some additional like booster packs that you can get that will augment that you can augment cards with. So
Okay.
or augment your pre-con decks with.
Okay, so about 150 cards in the first set. Nice, healthy set when there's only 30 cards per deck. And yeah, so I played a real fun game at Gen Con with the Necromancers versus the they were they weren't trolls, were they?
Goblins.
Goblins versus
Goblins.
the goblins versus
Yeah.
the goblins. So I was steady bringing back tokens, standees,
Mm-hmm.
and steady bringing them back from the grave. And then the goblins, they were getting on the high ground and throwing rocks at me and things, dropping
Yeah.
rocks and throwing them again. Fun stuff, real fun stuff. Right?
I like the goblins. Like I that was the first like theme deck that we did, the goblins. I was like, you got to start a fantasy game with the goblin deck. I just think you got to start there. Like it's
Gotta do
probably
it.
more
Gotta
of
do it.
a-
Gotta
And then
do
the
it.
zombies are I love gothic. There's a lot of like classic D&D Ravenloft. I love all that like gothic fantasy. So there's a little bit you got to start with the vampires, zombies.
Okay. So we got 150 card ish starter set,
Yeah.
first set, and then let's take it to the lore and everything.
Yeah.
So what kind of lore you got going with GrimPath?
Cool. So we have a story. Our story is centered around. You're looking at the Radiant Empire right there. Those are our paladins, and also those elves there. They're their allies. There was before the first edition. There was the Shadow Wars. That's the establishment of our realm. And in that war, there was an ally between the Radiant Empire and the Vampire Empire of Shadow. And these two, that's where our story begins. At the birth of the Radiant Empire, at the beginning of peace. Um, these paladins here, they basically are spreading radiance and light throughout a realm covered in shadow because they defeated the Shadow Empire, and they're currently trying to spread their realm as big as they can. Um, they are trying to work in balance with the Shadow theme. They're called the Veil. That's the city of Shadow, and then the Radiant Empire. And these two are sort of uh, they're allies, but they're not allies. And the story's going to progress, and you're going to find out exactly how much of not allies they actually are.
So
And
right
that's going.
now in this picture, we're looking at two different type of paladins right here.
Those are just pure paladins right there.
Okay,
There
okay,
are soldier themed paladins,
okay,
and they're going to have a whole storyline where they sort of work with the Death Knights and the Shadow Knights of the Shadow Vale, and they're going to evolve. Like we're basically telling the story about the development of the Radiant Empire and how this Paladin Empire is going to be built and will be built. So the end of the story in the first edition is the Radiant Empire is complete and established as the dominant empire of our realm. And then future expansions will be like, okay, how has that affected the Dwarven Empire? How has that affected the Goblin Fury Lands? How has that affected any of the other factions and stuff like that in the game? We'll sort of build off there. And then I don't want to spoil too much about the story, but the combination of paladins and shadow knights to create this like insane space marine paladin theme is, this is a war game as much as it is a TCG, and we all love Warhammer 40k, and we love space marines, and so we're slowly sort of developing and introducing our version of that, these fantasy paladin space marines with also these poor guys that just run into battle and get stabbed and healed over again. So
okay.
it's really all about the Radiant Empire and the Shadow Vale and how their battle is affecting the different like factions, goblins and dwarves. The dwarf storyline is really cool, um, but it's sort of the dwarf and the wood elves. They've got like a drama going on with them, and we're going to dive more into that in the second expansion. Um, but right now we're focusing on the Radiant Empire and the Veil as our core story.
Okay. So you've got that okay, us card gamers or whatever, we love to know that you've got a lot of future sight like set up already. So about how many
Yeah,
sets do you have planned and in the works already?
we like in terms of like major set releases. This is the Radiant Empire first edition themed set. The next set is, I think I mentioned it, a little bit of dwarves and a lot of wood elves and high elves. So it's going to be that theme is going to be around like in this one you're discovering the story of what it is that the elves are doing. So in our second expansion is going to dive into the actual story of the development of the Elven Empire. And so that one's going to be about how, their elvish story, it's going to be themed around another faction called the Magus, which are sorcerers, and how those two are dealing with each other because they're both high magic uh, factions, the High Elves and the Magus. So they'll be that theme's going to be right now. I would say the first edition is about brutal fantasy combat. Our second expansion is going to be a little bit more about magical fantasy combat. And then our third expansion is going to be about how all of these empires have worked together. There's a story where all of these are sort of coming to a climax. And that's going to be about the Dwarven Empire and the Orcish Empire and the Paladin Radiant Empire. So we have three like major stories mapped out with what those expansions are going to be, and then in between them are going to be augment smaller sub expansions. Like you may only get like three different war bands in this expansion, but it's going to be like a story, like a pirate themed small expansion. So there's we have some solo sets in this game. One of them is a Kraken, and that's going to be in the first edition, and then that will lead into one of the sub expansions where it's like, oh, okay, well now we know who the characters are that were getting attacked by the Kraken. It was this pirate theme. Yeah, that's our Kraken solo
That's
set.
great.
So the solo sets basically are we call them raid encounters, and so you as if you're just playing by yourself, you have your deck of paladins, your custom made deck of cards, whatever have you. You'll buy one of these solo sets, and then it has these rule augment cards in it that is like set these 2 decks on the side. Um, every turn you play a card from here, do this, do that, and you basically play GrimPath against that raid boss by yourself. And each one of the fights, I'm gonna say, really feels like a fantasy RPG boss fight or like an MMO boss fight where you have to learn the mechanics, master the mechanics, and then see if your deck can beat those mechanics. And so they're fun to play, and they're a great way to like test a deck that you've been noodling with, because I'll solo play test decks all the time before I bring them out to competitive testing. Um, and they're also just a fun way to sort of play a game by yourself or with a friend, because solo boxes you can co-op. We have a rule in there that's like, if you're doing 2 versus the raid boss, augment the rules like this. If you're doing 4 versus the raid boss, augment the rules like this. So each up to, I think, 6 players is the goal.
Okay, okay. Up to 6 players. I was about to ask that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the raid deck, we got the PVE with it can be solo, 2-player, or up to 6-player. Okay, and then I guess that'll lead me into the next question though. I know this is mainly a 1v1 game, but
Yeah.
is it maybe a 1v1v1v1 or?
Yeah, you can do that. You can play. We play lots of 4-player games with our when we were doing our closed beta testing. Uh, you can do 2v2. You can do free for all. You can do like I like free for all, because then you can be like, don't attack me, and then we can set up an illegal team. It's 2v1 and then 2v1.
Okay.
But yeah,
Man,
that's just like Commander. But yeah, definitely.
one thing that might be great if you guys haven't done that, make a King of the Hill type of
Yes,
scenario. Yeah.
100%. Actually, like, there are cards that are not released that are
Okay.
in our like test area, and there is a card type, because I don't want to overwhelm the player. We want to
Oh yeah.
teach, we want to add to the game as you get going. But there is a card type called quests, and one of the quests that I have is a King of the Hill, where it basically you put a terrain in the center of the, like it says, place it when this comes to card iron play, place a piece of terrain in the center of the battlefield. While you're on, if you begin your turn on that terrain, you get 1 King of the Hill point. If you've had 10 King of the Hill points, you win the game, and that has been really fun. Like, I've played that, in local demos, and it's very fun. And there's all kinds of quests that I want to augment, and that'll be an interesting. But that's one of the things that we want to release in a sub expansion. So
Oh yeah.
focus on teaching the player how those cards are going to be augmenting their other cards. But
Nice and
there's some
slow.
great quests. There's like a sheep herder's quest where it's like, if they put a 0/1 creature in play, if you have X number of sheep in play, you win the game type thing. So it's like you have these like really weak creatures. It can create another way to win the game other than just beating your opponent to death.
Okay. Oh yeah, I could see that being a blast. Okay. And they call that in. I know they call that in Warhammer. Taking the what do they call that?
I can't remember, but
Checking the control points or whatever. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you got all kind of good stuff. Warhammer, war game and stuff, and the TCG stuff. I love it. Okay. And you say, like, if people join the Patreon, they can get some beta cards now. They could possibly go up in value later and everything. So tell them about that.
Yeah, so our beta cards are basically, they're going to be a selection of cards. Each month we'll release probably more and more. I think we have some hologram cards potentially, but that may be 2 months away. If you're a current Patreon follower, don't kill me if you don't get them next month. But those are on the list of cards that are coming. And like I was saying, if you join our Patreon now, you're awesome. You're going to be seeing content that nobody else is getting to see. You're getting these cards before anybody else can get these cards. But we also don't want to we aren't locking anyone out of that. So if you missed it, we are going to let you get those cards on the Kickstarter campaign. You will be paying a premium because you're getting them later on. But if you want to get them now for quite a bit cheaper, you can join our Patreon, and we'll send those to you.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
we just launched that this month, so it's just getting started. But it's been a lot of fun so far. And we just really, speaking of lore, we released we have 11 short stories that are about this game so far, with the plans of doing up to 20 that all connect together to be one long story, but you read them in short stories. And I just posted an experiment to see if we can do audio readings of those, and it's really cool. So if you want to come check that out, come check it out. But otherwise, they'll be on YouTube in the future.
nice, nice, nice. All right. And so going back to the product that we can expect with the Kickstarter coming September 26th. So what all exactly is in a box, you said?
In a box is going to be a deck. It's going to be everything that you need to play the game. So you can just be like, I grab the Wood Elf box and sit down and play somebody else who's grabbed a Paladin box. So it's going to have your deck. It's going to have all the standees for your minions and your warlord. It's going to have like counter tokens for like any counters that have to enter play, blood, stuff like that. It's also going to have your battlefield. So it'll have half of the battlefield on your side, and then you'll put that up against your friend's half of the battlefield. And those aren't play mats; those are going to be like cardboard ones. So if you want to upgrade to the play mats, that's accessories that you can get. So yeah, it'll have everything that you need to set up your half of the battlefield, and then it'll also have up to 10 pieces of terrain, like trees, these cardboard terrains that you can assemble, um, put them together. They'll come in punch cards like this, and then assemble them. So there's going to be crates, boxes, and those in each one of the sets. Like in the Wood Elf one, there's a lot of trees and bushes, and then in the Paladin one, there's like tents and like you know military themed stuff, and then in the zombie one, there's like these like creepy sewer cubes and stuff like that. And the cardboard stuff is really cool. It's really fun. I've been having way too much fun prototyping that, putting them together. So
Fun, fun,
like
fun.
like cardboard Legos a little bit. It's really fun.
Nice. All right. So, and again, you say you're gonna come out with about 5 of these boxes for the first set, and then tell them about the augmenting with the TCG aspect and the collectability and everything.
Yeah, yeah. So these 5 decks are like our core starter decks. Each one's themed around the story in the first edition. We're gonna have some additional decks in the first edition. Like you'll see, like probably Paladin, Wood Elf. We're still finalizing the exact official story decks we want to release in the campaign. But there'll be also some additional cards that you can, where we might have like a pack of additional augment cards, because we're not diving straight into the TCG aspect in our first campaign. We're focusing on the living sort of card game aspect of it, the collectible cards. There's still collectability to it, but we're not fully random tuck box, um, or what is it, booster box with lots of booster packs. So you'll be able to buy these decks. You'll be able to buy some, like a pack of Paladin augment cards that'll have some Paladin augments that can go into your Paladin deck, your Dwarf augment that go in your Dwarf augment deck. And then in the future, as we get more cards, you're going to have lots of minions. You're going to have lots of dandies and terrain and stuff like that. And you're going to be like, enough, I don't want any more terrain and stuff like that. And that's when you're going to start seeing expansions that are like pure card, like booster packs. Like we may no longer sell these pre-con decks anymore. You bought yours, you have the collectability of that. But in the future, if you want those cards, you can buy booster packs, and those cards will appear in booster packs. So there's a little bit of like hybrid collectivity. We want to make a game that is like collectible and easy to play for people that aren't hardcore TCG, like speculators and collectors and tournament players. But we also want to make a game that is like still appealing to those types of people. So it's a balancing act of trying to get the push and pull of the two of those. And I think that by starting with the sort of living aspect and growing into the TCG aspect, I think is the fairest way of approaching that so far.
Oh yeah. So starting off more LCGish with this first set, 150 cards, 30 card decks, and then for the second set, we're gonna be looking at something else, more
Mm-hmm.
TCG-ish, and then
Mm-hmm.
you said that. Tell them about the collectability aspect of everything though too.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them about
Yeah,
the rares and everything. The
Yeah, so we have three. We have three rarities. We have rare, common, and legendary, or common, rare, and legendary. In your deck, a lot of the cards are going to be like commons and what was it, commons and rares with some legendaries. Um, so there's going to be a little bit of like some drought where you might be like, I want more of those legendaries, and that's where you would buy the augments to maybe get one of those. But in the future, there's going to be more and more rarities, and then we're also doing a lot of art rarities. So I'm talking to one artist right now of potentially. I really like this old school artist, Stephen Pogue. He did like Dungeon Crawl Classics. I really like that like classic fantasy art.
Yep, I've
You and
heard
I
of
were
that
talking.
name.
Yeah, you and I were talking about hand painted art versus like digital art. And so like there may be a deck where it's like this. We've taken the Paladin deck, but where it's all hand painted fantasy art, hand artists. So you may be able to get different themed art for cards. Stephen Poe, I'd love for Stephen to be able to do a whole deck. I'd love to see Stephen take the Goblin deck and just see how he interprets those cards. Um, and so yeah, I think that's going to be a fun way to help with the collectability. And then we have, in the cards that come inside these boxes, these are mostly the standard card right there. You can see them on the cover there. But there's full art cards as well. Those will be randomly scattered through some of these boxes. So there's going to be some rarity on like full art and foils, lots of different stamp foils and stuff like that that will make their appearances in there. We will have like a number system, so you'd be like, oh, I got a box that has like a foiled warlord that's super rare, um, or an alternate art warlord that could happen as well.
Interesting, interesting. So yeah, so don't fear. Even though it's starting off more LCG-ish, there will
Mm-hmm.
be collectability from the ground floor. And you were saying like you might even get an all hand drawn set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I like sorcery is a game that I really like that makes the collectability of the art sort of part of the game, and so I want to be able to pull some of that into GrimPath. Have art collectability be like if you really like that hand drawn art, you may want to make some. You may be like, I really like old school miniatures. It would be really cool to have all these old school hand drawn art or this Stephen Pogue Dungeon Crawl Classic style. So it'll let you sort of customize how you want the game to look because I love that. And I mean, Magic has gotten much more robust with that. I always liked how they had some stylized cards, not just their particular painter style.
Oh yeah. Okay. And again, you said like 150 cards this first set, and then about how many sets do you plan to release and on what kind of schedule do you think?
We're gonna do like we'll do two small releases in between big releases. One set bigger release. So we'll have the Paladin Radiant Empire storyline for our main release in this edition, and then we'll see two releases following that, which will be like, oh, now these Paladin Shadow Knights, they're a little bit more intense, and I follow the story, so I know why they're more intense, and so there's going to be a little bit more narrative, some more cards. Then there'll be another release that's like introducing the set that's going to be coming up, and so that'll be like a smaller set that's sort of it's got some of the old theme in it, but it's leading into what's about to come, and then we'll announce the big set, which will be like that's when you're going to start seeing booster like some more booster packs coming out and stuff like that, and more of the TCG aspect and a bigger release. And those big releases ideally will feel like your first, second, third, 10th edition Magic releases, and then these sub releases will feel like the goblins. Like you'll see it like maybe this isn't one, but it would be something like the goblins are coming, and it's going to be like four goblin decks or five goblin decks, one deck from each color. Um, you may see like a set that focuses that tightly on a release, and then you may see another deck that's like the Dwarven Stronghold, and it's five decks. One of them is a dwarf deck, but the other ones are like the elves raiding the Dwarven Stronghold, the goblins attacking the elves while they're raiding. Like so, each one of those sets will have a cohesive narrative theme and look to it and gameplay feel to it, but it'll be leading you through a series of different factions and stuff like that. One of my
Nice,
favorite
nice.
things with war games like Warhammer is like they're finally doing dwarves. Like I love saying that. Like yes, their next one they're doing dwarves. I've been waiting so long. So I like there's a little bit of that I think in the way that we're going to be releasing stuff where you're like, oh, they're doing pirates. Yes, like sweet. I've been waiting for being. They did some pirates in that one expansion, but now they're expanding more pirates. And as the world gets bigger and bigger, I think there's going to be more and more of that.
Oh yeah, and I see you're heavy on the lore. I wonder, and with everything you're talking about, I wonder if you're looking into doing something like Legend of the Five Rings, where like the tournament may define what happens in the story and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. There will be tournaments that are themed. Like we're gonna have like the nice thing about war games is you can have competitive tournament TCG. That's our like core. That's our big competitive tournament. We'll have that. Then there's also like people that just bring painted miniatures, and there's a competition for everyone's favorite painted warband. Um, and then there's also going to be some tournaments that we do that are themed around a narrative event. Like we had a Winterfell tournament last Christmas, and in that it was like who's going to be battling. Like every year, all the warlords get together to who sits on the throne, the Winterfell throne, and that was like just a fun Christmas themed tournament that we did. And Patrick, the winner, he's still sitting on the throne because it's not yet winter yet for our next tournament. And yeah, we would if that was in a release set, you would probably see a card that is like Patrick is, he would. We in our Kickstarter campaign, we did a tier where you could subscribe, and we actually had you say, I would like you got to work with the artist on the card, so that would be like a fun tournament to do something like that. And then yeah, we're also gonna have. I love the Five Rings, and I love how like it's like whoever wins this tournament is going to define who the king is in our next release. Like we'll, it'd be like a pre-con deck of five kings, and whoever's the winner is like, well, that's the king who is in charge in that story.
Oh yeah,
So I love that you called that out. That's dope. Yeah.
that sounds like a blast. I'm sure that'll get the people out for sure.
Cool.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And so with the production and everything, and the production and manufacturing, like you got
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff in the works, and just like
Yeah.
yeah. If you could take us behind the scenes a little bit on that, and tell us what's going on with that.
Yeah.
This is
Uh,
this is already in the works. We just got the Kickstarter coming up and everything. But tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of art in this game. So we've been, and this is an independent project. So we've been slowly getting through all that art. You can see in that image we used to use some black and white art as temporary art until we were sure we needed that card, and then we have somebody paint it. And I think actually Stephen Pogue did paint that image right there. Um, but yeah, so
Nice.
we're right now what we're finalizing is the punch cards. We're doing because we went to Gen Con with simpler terrain that was like really flat, and people were kind of like, it's not that cool. And so we decided to upgrade a smidge and add the 3D terrain. So right now I'm working with our manufacturer to finalize these designs. Um, and that's pretty much our last step. Like we've got the box, the VHS box theme, and all that stuff done. All the standees, all that manufacturing stuff is done. Now it's just a matter of tightening it up, getting it a little bit more complete and better, and like getting all that stuff tightened, so that when we come to the Kickstarter campaign in the spring, you have like the full card list. You have everything that you can buy available on the thing for you to see what it looks like, and we want to make sure that delivery is complete. So yeah, we're finishing that stuff up right now.
Yep. And then you said in the game, and then you said the 3D printed warlords. We
Mm-hmm.
wanted to make that a thing for sure, right?
Yeah, you can like so in during our Patreon, you'll have some access to 3D printing files. We have lots of 3D files that we've built. One of the more difficult parts of miniature wargaming is the manufacturing. That's very very cost ineffective. Let's just say. So that's why we're focusing on the cardboard to get us going. We'll have some stretch goals on the campaign. That'll be the first big miniature stretch goals. Like obviously, we're going to sell some terrain on the Kickstarter campaign because we are manufacturing some of the terrain right now ourselves, and you'll be able to get terrain on the Kickstarter campaign as add-ons. But we also want to add one of the 5 core warlords as miniatures to our first edition set. So we will have a stretch goal that will put that warlord into the boxes if we can hit that stretch goal. If we can't hit the stretch goal, then in those squad boxes it's going to be a standee warlord. And if we don't hit that stretch goal, then you'll be able to buy those warlords as add-ons on their own.
Okay.
But it would be really cool to get them in the box, but that's going to be a little bit more expensive for us, so we're going to add that as a stretch goal.
Okay. And I'm forgetting, but does the
Yeah.
warlord start the game on the field, on the battlefield?
Yeah. So we like the basic rules of each tournament is you draw your card. You have 30 card deck. You roll for initiative to see who goes first. Whoever goes first picks. You guys draw your cards. You place your terrain on the battlefield. Player 1 places their warlord anywhere on their terrain, and then player 2 places their warlord, and then you're ready to go.
Nice.
Start fighting. Start slinging.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So what about the and you said that you started in video game design. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
How far back do we want to go? My very first game was PlayStation 2. How old is that? I feel like I'm getting old on here.
PlayStation 2, man. What game was that?
It was called Rise to Honor. It was a Jet Li like fighting game. We had a. It was pretty cool. Actually, this has nothing to do with what I did on the project, but ours was the first video game to not have loading screens after they added loading screens. We played videos of the cutscenes and loaded the game in the background, and that was just the first game to do that, where we hid the loading screen with a cutscene video.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay.
It was a fun game. It's Rise to Honor. It's Jet Li. But then since then I've worked at a company called Double Fine for a long time. I worked on Psychonauts, and like I made tons of games there. And then I worked on a game that's similar to this game. I worked on a game called Spellbreak. It's like kind of like if you took Fortnite and fantasy games together, and you basically this open world battle royale wizards game. It was pretty fun. And then from there, I worked on World of Warcraft. So I did a lot of World of Warcraft design, which was cool
nice.
because I was, I'm a World of Warcraft nerd. I'm a MMO nerd. I love playing MMOs and stuff like that. So.
Okay. What set of WoW did you come in at?
Dragonflight is the one I got to work.
Dragonflight. Okay. That's got to be what 2016 or something, or?
No, that was like 2020 or something like that.
Okay, 2020.
Yeah. Dragonflight. I've worked on all the expansions of WoW since Dragonflight.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I think I remember Asmongold talking about that set. Okay.
Oh yeah, cool.
The expansion. So how did you get the notion to make a board game, tabletop game?
Well, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but a game company called Games Workshop released a card game, miniatures game once. Maybe it's a great game, but it wasn't what I wanted. I just wanted
Underworlds. Yeah.
Gathering. Yeah, I wanted Magic the Gathering. I wanted to build custom decks. I wanted to instead of just painting miniatures, I wanted to paint who that miniature was, and that's what I felt Magic was. I was like, I can build any deck that I want. I want to be able to do that with miniatures. And I was walking out of the Games Workshop store when that game launched, and I was kind of bummed because it wasn't what I wanted. And my friend was like, why don't you just make that game? I'm sick and tired of you talking about this game. Why don't you just make it? And I was like, fine. And so like that night I went home and I started messing around with it. And here we are about 7 years later. So I did lots of iterations, on my home. I never thought that I would actually publish a game myself for years. And then it got to a point where we were playing it so much that it was like, let's let me go. Like let's give this a go. So
Oh yeah.
I've been working on it ever since. And it's been such a fun experience, like going to these conventions and playing with people, learning the ins and outs, talking to people like you. It's like amazing watching. I watch all these YouTube videos all the time, and then like it's like now I'm on one of those YouTube videos. So
Oh yeah, it's
Red
great,
Zone
isn't it?
Rogue. I reached out to Red Zone Rogue just as like I need some help, give me some advice, and then he ended up saying I'll make a video, and it's like that's crazy. I was watching your videos all the time. Now there's a video for me. That's insane.
Oh yeah, great guy, great
It's a
guy.
lot of fun.
And then you got and then I know you got a huge one on the Great Game Society, Baker Scott, right?
The Good Game
Good
Society.
Time Society, yeah, Baker Scott, yeah.
Yeah, we did a video with them. So we did. So I actually approached Kickstarter in 2020, early 2024. It was my first campaign, and my dad's real proud of me that I admit that it was mistakes on my part. I messed up some of the shipping, and I didn't really know how to set up the Kickstarter campaign. So I made some mistakes that made the initial purchase crazy, and people were like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I'm trying to fix that," and we fixed it, but that messed up some of our trajectory. And then another thing that I felt that people there's a lot of feedback about understanding this new style of game. Like, is this a trading card game? Is it a war game? Some of the questions you were asking, like, how am I going to buy this? We didn't have answers that were like, well, you can just pick up a box of paladins, and now you're ready to play paladins. You can pick up a box of dwarves, and now you're ready to play dwarves. We were like, well, you buy these packs of cards, and you build a deck, and then you buy miniatures, and then it was a little bit more difficult for first timers to really wrap their head around. So we took the campaign down, got that feedback, tried to come up with something that answered all of those issues and make it a little bit easier for people that are like, okay, yeah, I get it. I want to play some goblins. I buy that box of goblins and I'm ready to go. Let's go. So the Good Time Society video that we made with them was for that first campaign.
Okay.
So maybe we'll make another one with them for the next campaign. That would be really fun. Or maybe we'll make a video like if you're. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to make that video with them. That's a perfect example of like people that I have been watching for like years. In
Oh
fact,
yeah.
meeting her, I was like, wow, you're like a famous person. It's
Oh
like
yeah. Baker
really
Scott.
nice. But,
Baker
and
Scott,
they're in
Yazzie
LA,
Yazzie.
so it was like, yeah, you're definitely famous. I mean, I'm in LA being a famous person.
Oh yeah. Nice. All right, so yeah, and to sum that back up, like started out more conventional TCGs. Now we're starting out more LCGs this time,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
building into the more TCGs. But it's always gonna have some competitive, some collectability from the
Mm-hmm.
onset. So don't have to worry about that. And then okay, and then who else is with you on the design team right now?
I've got a designer named Alex Miller. He worked on a Genesis, The Last Battle, that TCG
Genesis,
that
the
came
Battle of
out.
the Champions. Yeah.
Yeah, Battle Champions. Yeah, he worked on that game. I actually met him at Gen Con. He came up to play the first time when I debuted it, and he was like, "Now that we got playing out of the way," he introduced himself, and I was like, "Oh, you are exactly the kind of person that I need to balance my insane brain. Like I love designing the way a game feels. I love to, this is what you're going to experience when you play this game. This is what you're going to experience when you collect it and when you buy it, and let it get under your skin. But then when it comes to like, this is a super balanced TCG, it has to be that. And Alex is really good at balancing TCG mechanics. He's super creative as well. So like, he comes up with these really fun ideas, gameplay mechanics that we can build decks around. And then he's really good at like keeping those super balanced and super tight. And if you ever get a chance to play him at one of our conventions, God help you, because you will not defeat him. He is
Oh man.
impossible to beat. So he's exactly the kind of guy you want in that sort of role. In fact, I think he's one of those kinds of people that breaks other TCGs. Finds the unlimited combo. So
Nice. Man, I used to watch those Genesis streams and everything. He was
mm-hmm.
on those streams. Do you know?
He probably
Yeah.
was Alex Miller if you look out for his name. And then another, he's not necessarily a designer, but he is our writer. We have this writer named CC Hills. He's a young writer, up and coming writer. I discovered him on YouTube. He had a video that was like a lore video for a story that he was writing, and I loved it. So I reached out to him, and he and I have been really focusing on the lore to make sure that the final like story is both like cohesive and fun. And he's written 11 stories so far. They're all 1 to 3 or 4 page short stories, adventures to go on, and each one of those is centered around our narrative. If you read them all in order, um, you'll get a complete story, or you could sort of piecemeal them together. And I have a very interesting idea on our website for how we're going to deliver that lore. I mean, it'll be in the instruction books, so you'll get the Goblin story and the Goblin deck, you'll get the Wood Elf story and the Wood Elf deck. But then you can also explore all those stories on YouTube and on our website. We just really want that story. We want that lore to be there and be part of it. Magic the Gathering lore is important. I never read any of it. I never read any of the flavor text on Magic cards. I don't mean to knock it in any way, but I was just focusing on the gameplay and the art. But I also want to make sure that we're supporting that stuff, and so I've let that stuff really influence a lot of the game design, the art, stuff like that. And also, I love Warhammer 40k books, so there's a little kind of part of me that's like, if we focus on strong writing and strong narratives now, maybe there's a shot for a book. Maybe there's a stretch goal option on our Kickstarter campaign for Chris to write a first edition book. I think that would be a really cool thing to happen, but that's stretch goal stuff.
Man, good stuff. Hitting on all cylinders. Got the lore, got the collectors, investors, and definitely got the gameplay. So great stuff going on with GrimPath. Yeah. So we've made the hour mark. About anything else you think you wanted to let the people know?
Well, we've got the Patreon. We also, if you have Tabletop Simulator, you can play the game right now. Our beta, you can play all these cards in our this beta set. You can play that on Tabletop Simulator on Steam. If you just search GrimPath Tabletop Simulator, it's going to pop up on YouTube or Google search results. I also, if you join the Patreon, I'm planning on doing some live streams. We used to do Saturday skirmishes where I would play people in Tabletop Simulator in our Discord, but I think I'd like to try some live streaming on Saturdays in the future. So if you like Tabletop Simulator and you want to play it, go to grimpath.com, get our Discord link, join our Discord, say, hey, I want to try the game out. Can somebody play with me? Me or someone is going to hopefully answer to that call and play with you. So we could always use more people who want to dig into a game like this and give feedback. We do a lot of play testing in our closed beta channel still because we're testing decks that haven't been released. So if you want to join that, we want you to join us because our guild is recruiting, in other words.
Nice. Yeah, so we got GrimPath on Patreon, Discord, Kickstarter coming spring 26th. Oh yeah, before I forget, what are the price points that we're looking on for a VHS box?
Look, I'm a bleeding heart. I want them to be as cheap as possible. That's a big part of the reason that we're doing the cardboard stuff is I spend a lot of time whittling down the costs of manufacturing so we can get that price point as cheap as possible. With the board and the standees and everything in there, a box probably be 20, 25 at the most. I mean, it's hard to say with the way inflation is right now. It's kind of like I don't know what's going on much like anybody else's. It's like tomorrow's different than yesterday.
Tariffs and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's been definitely it's one thing to learn how to do logistics. It's a whole other thing to learn how to do logistics when everybody else is learning how to do logistics at the same time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, 2025, I think for that, like if I could get it down to like 18, that would be awesome. Because like I said, I just want people to be able to pick up boxes and play. And then you can also, we'll also just release the decks as well. Like what if you don't want any of that extra stuff you have? What if you're a miniatures collector already? You're like, I have 30 painted goblins in my house. You could buy just the tuck box of the goblin deck. That'll be much cheaper. It's just the cards, and you can that way you can.
Oh yeah.
Mitigate some of that cost. So.
Good stuff. Any idea like once you get to set 2, 3, and you're putting out full booster boxes, what are you thinking those prices might be?
Competitive to like are not Magic the Gathering prices, um, but we will probably follow the card counts for a traditional Magic the Gathering booster box. That was our original goal, and I can't remember the exact price point on our booster boxes for the last Kickstarter campaign. I wish I had that exact number for you, but it was like 130 or something. I think. Does that sound normal for 2025? It was pretty normal prices, not
I think so.
too high.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, pretty much.
You
Okay.
know, as an indie game, so I was like a little bit lower to try to coax people into. I'll give it a try, but
Oh yeah.
high enough to cover everything and the costs.
Oh yeah. So yeah, to sum everything up, great gameplay, about 20 bucks ish for a starter, 150 ish card first set, 30 card decks. Great 10 by 10 grid gameplay and good.
We have and our Warlord cards. We're gonna have some cool, unique Warlord cards. Like there's a collectability in Warlord cards too, like foils and stuff like that, full arts and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, lots of that stuff.
We got the collectability, investing, all that good stuff. Great gameplay. So yeah, look out for
Yeah,
GrimPath.
awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. It was great to meet you at Gen Con. That was super awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's great. It's great to like catch up and find it. It's you can play with people at Gen Con and they're like, I liked it, and they you may not circle back with them, and you're always like, did you like it? But it's always great to circle back and be like, yeah, you liked it. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's what we're here for. Make friends, play games, work on cool stuff together.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, so Patreon up now in spring 26 the Kickstarter for the
Yeah,
full release
yeah,
and everything. So
yeah. And
be on the lookout.
we're battling. It's just gonna be battling from then on.
Oh yeah.
Pure battle and collecting.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. Anything else you want to say to the folks?
Thanks for sticking around for this long, being interested in GrimPath. I mean, I obviously are interested in this awesome channel, praise
Oh
you
yeah.
guys, but thank you for sticking around for this video, and hopefully we see you on Patreon. That'd be awesome. But at least the Discord, come say hi. Let's play some games.
Oh yeah. And of course got my gameplays and everything coming up this week. So
I
check
can't wait
those
to see
out.
those.
Oh yeah. And
Awesome.
yeah, it's been real.
Yeah, that's been fun. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here and talk about GrimPath. I love talking about GrimPath though, so
Nice to have you. I see a bright future for GrimPath. So we,
awesome, awesome. I love it.
we'll see it soon. All right. Later, Gators.
See you guys.
Peace.